What's up, interwebs and Mortgage Coach YouTube channel? I have been doing a lot of interviews the past couple days, just because it's game time in the mortgage space. 38 years in mortgage, and it's always changing, it's always shifting, and usually when it shifts faster and more aggressively than we ever thought it would. And this is August 6th. Anyone on Facebook right now, it's August 6th, and it's not only crazy in our space, but stock market's wild. There's a presidential election taking place. And all this comes together with a lot of opportunities. Lower interest rates, here we come. And NAR settlement, massive change in the real estate industry. We are here. So I wanted to interview Jason Abell, who is one of the founders of Rewire, a very unique coaching leadership platform that really believes everything happens in between the ears, a neuroscience-driven leadership platform. His partner, Steve Scanlon, is someone that every time I have a 30-minute coffee meetup with the guy, like an hour later, we're like having to go, like it could just go forever. So we got about 30 minutes. Jason, what's up, my brother?
Dave, thanks for having me on the show today, man. As I said pre-recording, it's always good to visit with you, to be with your audience and your clients. And yeah, man, happy to be here today.
Good. Well, I'm really stoked to have you. Before we just hit this topic, I would love to know, like, how are you serving the industry right now, and what, in your coaching practice with the lenders that you work with, what's the weather like in your space right now?
The weather is cloudy. The weather is lots of rain and some thunderstorms. And I'll tell you what, Dave, in the middle of all of it is opportunity. And I've said this saying a lot over the last couple of years, but in the workshops and keynotes that we've been doing lately, this quote of my dad just comes to mind. I can't help but repeat it. And so I think it's a good place for us to start, which is my dad used to say, and this is World War II veteran, right? So the dude knew challenges, right? Like we think business is challenging, and look, the political environment and the things that are going on in the world, they're real world challenges. I don't want to minimize that. But gosh, they had World War II. There were some pretty big challenges there too.
Life and death, food and shelter challenges, very different.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And my dad had this saying, the difficult we do immediately, and the impossible takes a little longer. And I never fully understood or could appreciate that saying. And I heard it as a kid a ton, and I never really understood it because, I was a kid coming up in the 70s, and we didn't have the challenges that he had in World War II and in the 40s and coming out of the Depression. So I never really understood it. But he demonstrated this, and I'll give this story. I'll tell the story very short.
Hey, real quick before you do that, I just want to make sure I wrote it down right. The difficult we do immediately,
and the impossible takes a little longer.
Oh,
so you get that, right? Like, in other words, when something is tough, get right on it.
Oh, no, I get it. I just wanted to write it down right.
Yeah. And well, I didn't as a young child. And there was a moment where, and I'll do my best to give the short version of the story, where I needed to siphon gas out of a lawnmower into a gas can, and it wasn't working properly. And the siphon just wasn't working. My dad came out and helped me, and he tried to do it, and it wasn't working for him either. And then I saw him, what I now know was demonstrating that saying, the difficult we do immediately, the impossible takes a little longer. I was having difficulty with it. I couldn't do it. He came and tried it. He couldn't do it. And the next thing I saw illustrated the whole thing to me. And that might be a good place for a start. He took the hose to his mouth and sucked the gas. And I saw, it was a clear hose, dirty, but it was a clear hose. I saw the gas go into his mouth, and then he shoved the hose into the gas can to start the flow of gas. And then he spit out the gas. And I'm sitting here, a wide-eyed 8-year-old, and I'm like, oh, the difficult we do immediately, the difficult we do right away, right? Like he showed me what that meant. And so, and I could tell you so much about that day, and that story was amazing. But for the purposes of today, when you bring up things like, hey, what's the weather out there? And you I think you said something about the NAR settlement a few moments ago. The weather is cloudy and it is challenging right now. I don't want to act like it's not, but in the middle of that, for the people that can bring themselves to do the difficult immediately, and if things even sound impossible, okay, it might take a little longer, but we can get there too. With that type of angle of looking at things, um, it's not as cloudy and it's
Yeah.
not as rainstormy. And so that's what we try to focus on with our clients. And some days that's easier than others, to really get after it with that type of thinking. And we understand that. And there's all kinds of different personality profiles and stages of people's career and whatever. But that is the way that we're looking at it. There are difficulties out there, and the weather's a little rough right now, no question. But one, there's some glimmers of hope. uh, Stock market's down, but bond market's doing really good. And that very well might mean interest rates are going to do really good. And that very well might mean more loans get written. So I do think that there's some glimmers of hope. And I do think that there's never been a better time. And I'm going to say this and people are going to shake their heads. There's never been a better time to be a mortgage banker. And there's never been a better time to be a realtor than right here, right now in 2024. And I can back that up. I mean that.
Yeah, no, there's data to support it. So I want to go a little wide on this. So by the way, what's your dad's first name?
James, uh, James
Abel.
Eston Abel. He passed away 2 years ago, and I miss him like you would not believe. But that particular story that I told you, Dave, I've got 108 just like that, and so I'm very grateful for the time that
Well,
I had with him. But
it's a great story. And guys, write that story down. James Abel is the quoted by. And then I want to put another little question around this, because that
yeah,
metaphor that you said, and so for all the leaders listening to this, there's so many skills that you're not doing, that your team isn't doing. Maybe the industry's right size now, especially now that rates are actually coming down. And so maybe, we don't have to make tough choices. I mean, that would have been a really great story 2 years ago, 1 year ago, when we were not at the bottom and there were
sure,
difficult
sure.
decisions to be made. But here's what I keep, like, after hearing your story, is like, are you getting the gas in your mouth? Like, is, are
That's a
you
good
getting,
that's a good spin, man.
yeah, that's a good, like, and by the way, I've siphoned gas out of a car before, and I've tried to do it unsuccessfully. And then I've got gas in my mouth before, so I know
You
exactly what
never
you
forget
did.
that. You never
And
forget
and
that
and
moment.
it was nasty. And but it worked. And so
Yes.
that analogy, I mean, I'll never forget the quote, and I'll never forget the analogy, and I'll, kind of use that. Am I getting the gas in my mouth?
Yeah. No, I
So
love the Dave
let's,
Savage spin on that. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
are
actually
you
going to write
tasting
that
it?
down. That's good.
Are you tasting the gas in your mouth? And managers, think about that when, your loan officers come to you and they're like, oh, but it's not working. Oh, but, chances are they haven't really learned. They
Yeah.
haven't gotten to the point where they got the gas in their mouth, because change is painful. New habits are painful. Uh, kind of echoing what you said, Tom Ferry is going around right now from stages saying that this is a once in a lifetime chance, once in a lifetime opportunity to realtors. And Gary Keller is saying it's no longer a speed market, it's a skills market.
Yep.
So this all adds up. So okay, so great frame, great story. What what are you guys doing? You said you're doing keynotes.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
engagements with lenders. Like, what are you doing to help people win right now?
Well, I'll say this, going off of, that we've established the market, the industry, the weather, as you said, we've established, there's difficult things, but we're going to do those right away. We've established the things that seem impossible. We can still do that as well. It is possible. We've asked ourselves and maybe given us some tools to ask our people that we lead. We're getting the gas in our mouth, which I love. What we've been talking about with groups is, everything that we just said, Dave, sounds really good, but I'll even admit at times that can be ethereal. In other words, are you
Oh,
getting the
for
gas in your mouth?
sure.
Okay, right. And
And
so
I want to get the host to work without getting the gas in my mouth. That's
right
winning.
on, right on, right on. So what we do, even though yes, we're a neuroscience based, mindset coaching company, we do get real results. And the way that we do that is, yeah, guess what? You have to get tangible from time to time. So I'm going to give you a few tangible items that we're observing right now that are just working for people. And I think we might have titled this somehow, the mindset leadership around the NAR settlement. So um, here's some tangibility to this. As far as leadership mindset, the very first thing that comes to mind, I think you and I talk about this every time we do one of these, Dave, and in some form or fashion, is just the self-care. How are you leading yourself first? And when I say that, I very much mean the food that you're putting in your mouth, how much water you're drinking, how much sleep are you getting, how much physical activity are you partaking in? What are you consuming in your brain? What are you feeding your brain? We become what we think about. And so we get real tangible with people around the self-care piece, because when you lead yourself with excellence first, you're just better able to be engaged in that way when you engage the people that you lead, your clients, the next listing appointment that you go on, the next borrower that you engage, like that self-care piece. So we, look, we're not health coaches. I leave that up to my wife. She actually is a health coach, but the self-care piece needs to come first. And I can't tell you how many groups that I've been in front of recently where I say that and I can see the wheels turning, and people come up to me afterwards and go, I needed that today because I know that I should be doing blank, whatever it is that they say. And it takes many forms: sleeping better, eating better, taking, better care of what goes in my brain, those types of things. But if you hear this right now with Dave and I, and you have that thought in the back of your head, boy, I would just encourage you, take a step. So self-care, that's one of the items.
I want to
Yeah,
tell you something I've
yeah,
been doing in any color you want to put around this. Because I mean, hey, if you are supporting the mortgage industry, it is hard. I mean, like we've grown, and I'm really proud of the innovations we've done at Trust Engine. But I mean, it's been a tough
sure.
couple of years, and coming, I've always been a big win by noon guy, but
Yeah.
this year I came into the year with really clear definition around win by seven. And and
Oh,
seven is like a good number for me, like where I'm like win by seven, but having that, and I even put a little alarm on my phone where at like 6:57, did you win by seven?
nice.
So, so I would just push everybody, like have a number, like got to win by noon. I mean, I truly believe that most high performing mortgage executives and mortgage professionals, they have rhythms, they have habits, and they win by noon. There are exceptions, but not many of them.
Yep.
And I would push everybody to get a number. Like, and if you're watching this on YouTube, what is your number? I'm trying to ask people, what is that number? Is it like Todd Bookspan? It's not seven. He's like more like an 8:15 guy. He wins by 8:15.
Yeah.
It's got to be early enough to win by noon. By the way, what
Yeah.
do you think the average is for high performers? What time in the morning have they checked all the boxes and executed on their morning rhythms, and now they're stepping into the arena?
No, it's a great question. I will say this. In my younger days, it was always, if you ain't first, you last. So whoever was up first and at it, and then it got to
Yeah.
be this, 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 4:45,
Well,
it was like,
I'm talking. That's what time you got up. I'm talking about what time did you
no, 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 I
win?
get it.
Like,
I get it.
hit your rhythms.
Yeah. So what I would say is this, I'm going to give you a coaching answer, which is might sound a little bit like a diplomat or a politician here. Um, Whatever time is the right time for the person in front of me is whatever the right time is. So like for me, for instance, this week is a great week. So today's only Tuesday when we're recording this, but uh, we've had some vacation stuff and fun things happen. So you get out of rhythm sometimes. And I know for me, this week it's up at 6 and we're moving the body by 6:30. Like that's something that needs to happen. And what I with the clients who that is something that appeals to them, it's up. And whether it's meditation right away, moving the body right away, I've got clients that are doing the cold plunge thing, right away.
I'm on that team.
We heard from Admiral McRaven, the make your bed first thing in the morning type of thing, like getting those things knocked out and getting a win or two under your belt. And there's the win, that you're looking for. So I don't know that I know, is it 7 o'clock? Is it 8 o'clock? Is it book span
All right,
noon?
well, I'm just
I don't
curious.
know
I've been
what the
doing a
answer is,
little
but
survey and I'm finding it anywhere from, I'm not hearing too many people that are doing it before 7, but I'm not hearing too many people they haven't checked the boxes by 9, So right now
well,
that's my informal study.
the thing that's important to me is, are you doing some sort of something that's working for you? And oftentimes there's a lot of people that just aren't. And so I'm not a, win by 7 with that person. I'm like, let's get you a win. When's that going to happen? And we go through some Q&A there and we figure out how is that going to work, for the person that's in front of me. But yeah, I'm big advocate of getting some wins under your belt early in the morning for sure.
Cool. So
All
next
right, you
topic.
want? I got more than
Let's
just
go.
the
Yeah.
self care
Give
piece.
us tangible things that
So
we can do to win.
yeah, so this goes along with kind of the win by noon, win by 7, type of thing. Is how is your stance? What is your stance as you engage the day? And what I mean by that, I'll give you, right now the Olympics is happening in Paris, and we get to see all these amazing athletes all around the world. One of the things that we've been doing in our workshop for about a year now is I'll call somebody if I've got either a former professional athlete in the room or a former collegiate athlete in the room. I'll ask two people to come up, and we'll get, sometimes track and field, sometimes it's football, baseball, whatever, basketball, soccer. And we'll have the two people stand back to back. So they're facing the opposite walls. They're not looking at one another. And I'll ask them, no matter what their sport is, I'll ask them to get into an athletic ready stance without fail. And I've done this several times without fail. The people get into this just about the same stance where they're on the balls of their feet and they're leaning forward. And I do this because this is an analogy of how I'm looking for people to enter into the day when they do engage their work. We're here to talk mostly about work. So we'll talk about work. When they're engaging work, what stance are you in? Meaning, are you on the balls of your feet, leaning forward and ready to go and be proactive and go get it? Or how many people have we seen, Dave, the last few years? They're operating from the balls of their feet. They're operating from a defensive standpoint. And guess what? You're taking things in, you're being reactive, you're taking punches that way. And that's just a way to fall down and stumble. So taking a ready stance into the day. And again, that follows right behind self-care, right? Like it's hard to do that if you're out drinking and carousing the night before, or if you're scrolling through social media first thing when you wake up in the morning. Like you're going to end up on the balls of your feet. What we've observed is the people that enter into the day, engage the day in a ready stance. That's just something that works better. And it depends. What is the equivalent of the ready stance for you? Again, it's kind of like your question about what's the right time, when's the first win by. It really depends. It depends on person's season of life, what types of things appeal to them, personality profile. And that's partly why we work with the brain. We take an approach. We don't just say, hey, here's a prescription, here's how you have a ready stance. No, it doesn't work that way, because the way that you just heard me tell that story, Dave, may be different than many of your listeners right now, and it's just
Right.
what works for you. But the important note there is, are you in your ready stance on the balls of your feet to engage the day, whatever that means for you? That has been something that has been very tangible for people to go, okay, you know what? I'm going to write this down. This is what it means for me. Then when they do that, now we've got something that we can sink our teeth into. Are you actually doing that or not, type of thing?
Love
So
that.
Dave,
Love that. Love that.
I'll give you an example. I think the last time you and I were on, we went over certain goals, and I meant to look this up this morning, and I'll just be perfectly transparent with you. I meant to do it and then I forgot, but I'm going to do this from the top of my head. I think the last time we were together, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I worked you through an exercise, and I think what yours was that you came up with was sweating every day. That sticks in my brain. Is that something that you've ever committed to?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's,
Does that sound
in
right?
fact, I call it, yeah, I remember that. Well, we did the topic, guys, and it was October 23rd, was how to create a culture of trust. But I think it might've been before that. In March, we did a call called,
Yes.
mindset selling. I can't remember
Yes, that
which
was
one of
that was the
those.
one. That was the one. It was
Okay.
a
So
year. It was over a
mindset
year
selling.
ago,
Yeah.
and
Mindset selling.
you had come up with it was something about working out every day or moving your body every day. For some reason, sweating is in my brain. I don't know if you said
So
that
by
or
the way,
not.
I've lost over 30 pounds since then.
Well, first of all, congratulations. That's no small feat at all.
Yeah,
And my point of that is, now I'm not going to say, hey, the thing that we did in March, that's why you lost your 30 pounds. No, 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 I'm not.
it was,
But
it
it was
was
a
one of the
cog in the wheel.
protocols.
It was right, right. And so that thing about, you committed to it, you committed to me to it. Luckily, I remembered it. But we also recorded it. So I'm sure you've engaged with your community. Not that you're using them to hold you accountable, but people care about you. They're going to ask you questions. That helps to hold you accountable. And so that ready stance, and actually saying, okay, this is what I mean for me to be in the ready stance for the day. And you've got community of people around you you're talking about it. They're asking you questions about it. That's just super helpful. So another
Yeah,
one of the tangible items.
and a footnote on that for everyone, because we know this, and it wasn't like a straight line. Like if I literally would have, from that date between now and then, I'd probably be down 50 pounds. But there was like, it was 2023 was the first year where I kind of reversed this trend of, gaining a pound or two, 3 pounds every year for decades,
Yeah.
and then trying to reverse that trend. And I didn't, and I reversed it in 2023,
That's
but I didn't
amazing.
give up. I got new accountability partners. I made new commitments. Then this year, I probably, I lost probably 10 of it last year and 20 of it this year, and I'm still going.
Amazing. Yeah,
So just
brother.
as a push to everyone, guys, like whether it's prospecting, hey, I'm going to do X, I see so often that people, they know what they should do, and then they don't keep their promise for a couple of weeks or a month, and then they kind of give up and they get right
Yep.
back to status quo. And it's making that deep commitment to doing what you know you need to do, and then not giving up on yourself is where the transformation happens. How do you guys do that? Because I know at Rewire, you have some philosophies
Sure.
around rewiring your brain.
Well,
Anything? I know that's a big topic and we can spend days on it, but
yeah.
any tactics that you can share?
Any wide-ranging philosophies you'd like to talk about, Jason? No, I'm listening to you, and you said something a moment ago that I think will be a good segue to answering your question, which is, hey, it wasn't a straight line from my conversation with you in March of 2023 to now, Jason, of why I lost that weight. It was more like you didn't say this, but I'll say it. It's a squiggly line, right? Like there's some days that were better than others, I'm assuming. Some accountability and community around you that are better than others. Uh, you get colds along the way. You have bad days. You have vacations, whatever. But trending, you're engaging the day. you're engaging this trend reversal, that you had there. And so with us, and that was your way. That was Dave's way of doing the 30 pounds. If I were to engage the same exact thing, it would just be different. It would look different. I have a different
Because you're
background. I have a
already sweating and you
different.
aren't, you know,
No. But
you
what I
aren't
mean
where I
by, well,
was.
let's say there was a person that weighed, I don't know, whatever, more than you, 350 pounds. Their personality profile, their experience,
Yeah,
their
yeah, I
health,
get
where
your
they
point.
were,
Right.
it's a
It's
different,
always different.
right. And so for us, when you ask about philosophy and methodologies, we really take the person that's in front of us into account first. They're the primary driver of where it is that they want to go. What we do, we're convinced it's already in there. That person has already reached the goal again in their minds, and we believe in them. We just need to pull it out, like chipping away a piece of granite into a sculpture. The coach's job is to chip away at that stone to get to the meat of the actual sculpture. So whether it's getting healthy, learning how, we started talking about the NAR settlement and the challenges and the frosty weather out there these days. If I was taking some of the things that I've already said today about self-care and being, in a proactive, on the balls of your feet, ready stance, when I was looking at something like the challenges in the market right now and the NAR settlement, man, I might go something like a ready stance might go, okay, well, first of all, maybe I'm going to make a commitment to not bury my head in the sand, to not engage in head in the sand type of woe is me, the sky is falling type of rhetoric, but rather let's go read the new regulations and laws myself. Let's formulate my own opinion and let's be on the lookout, because we all know we find what we're looking for. Let's be on the lookout of how this can be opportunistic to me and my skill set, my gifted zone, my expertise, my experience. Where do the opportunities lie for me right now? So when you say philosophies, I don't know that I can give you a prescription and say, well, if you want to deal with the real estate market as a realtor in 2024, as a mortgage banker in 2024, just do these 5 things and you'll be successful. Not at all. But what I would do is say some of the things that you and I have talked about so far, Dave. If we can take your specific skill set, gifted zone, personality profile, experience, what you like, what you don't like, what part of the country you're in, all of those things, take those into account, ask some deep questions, apply some of the tangibility that we've talked about today and others, and go, okay, for you in particular, how are you going to execute and then achieve, even though it's challenging and it's difficult, and some people may say impossible to succeed these days. Because I can tell you this, and then I'll take a breath and I'll let you talk, Dave. I can tell you this: we have clients right now that are killing it, and I mean that. I know most people aren't. We have clients that are starting mortgage companies in 2024, and it's unbelievable the success that they're having so far. And I look at it partly in awe, and I look at it like, yep, absolutely. Because there's
Yeah.
opportunity in the midst of challenges.
Well, let's do this because I know we're getting closer to time, and I want to ask because I always look at you guys and feel like when it comes to growing emotional IQ, like you have a very special program in doing that, and I feel like we as an industry, AI is here, uh,
Mm,
changes here, like amplifying our humanity, showing up well matters.
sure.
And especially when it comes to the mortgage leaders who want to help real estate agents, I think there could be some improvement with how we're showing up in the industry. And I want to use an example.
Yeah,
I've
please.
seen on social media a number of times where loan officers are, bringing this leadership to the real estate industry, and they use the example that, oh yeah, that happened to me with Dodd-Frank. And, they don't exactly say it's just like Dodd-Frank, but there's this, they're trying to connect and relate, and it's going to be okay because, hey, this thing happened to us. And like every time I see that, I'm like, bro, or whoever, woman, man, and I'm just like,
This is different.
that's not at one, they don't know about Dodd-Frank because they're realtors and we're mortgage professionals. So that's not even something they actually know what you're talking about. And then two, like when something bad is happening to someone, usually it's not like, oh, me too. It's, I'm really sorry that's happened.
That's right.
And I want
That's
to be
right.
here for you.
Yeah.
And so I think you probably agree with me. That's mortgage professionals, PSA, stop comparing this to Dodd-Frank.
I do.
Like, do you
I do
agree?
agree with you. Yeah, I do.
With
I
that
mean,
said,
yeah.
with
No,
that
go
said,
ahead.
what are some other ways if a mortgage professional wants to connect and be of value to an agent following some of your philosophies? What
Yeah.
are, give some leadership to that if you could.
I think when you wake up in the morning as a mortgage professional, if you're thinking right from the get-go, how is it that I'm going to serve and add value? And that's what you're seeking that day, whether it's the people that report to you, the people that you're, lucky enough to serve, or your clients. How am I adding value? Um, I think with that mindset, and then you're just looking throughout the day, how am I adding value? Am I going to just go have lunch and listen to a realtor because that's what they need? Am I bringing in people like us or technologies like yours, Dave? Am I adding value that way? I can't tell you how many mortgage lenders are hiring us right now to get their realtor partners together. And look, we're not going to talk about the technicals of the NAR settlement. I don't know that we're qualified to do that, but what we can do is talk about what you and I have been talking about is how are you going to face that? And what is your mindset around that? I can't tell you how many mortgage professionals have brought us in to a group of their realtors to go, okay, let's talk about it. And the very first thing, to your point, that we talk about is, hey, let's name these challenges. We're not going to say that we understand. We're not going to say, to your point, like, oh, we bore through something. Like, no. Let's just listen. Let's call out the elephant in the room, because if we can name it, then we can figure out a way to tame it. So we name it first. Let's get it all out there. And you'd be surprised, man. I'm writing on whiteboards the challenges and the things. And these are real life things that people are calling out, because we need to say we acknowledge that first. And I think adding value to people is part and parcel of just acknowledging where they are. And then, okay, that's there. The challenges are real. We got eyes wide open. Now let's do something about it. And we go into some of the things that I've shared with you today. But it comes from a place of, man, when I wake up in the morning, our clients, whether they're mortgage or real estate, I want to serve them and I want to add value. And you either have that, by the way, you have that in your DNA, or you don't. The best line was a client of ours that said, can you just give me a script to show that I care? Nope, we can't. We can't give you a script that shows that you care. First of all, step one, you actually have to care. And
Right.
if you actually care, now we can help. And so that I don't know, that would, hopefully that answers part of your question is, yeah, empathy, leading with empathy and wanting to serve and add value. I don't know that you can ever go wrong with that.
So that does not surprise me to hear that some of your clients and lenders are putting you in rooms with realtors, because I'm sure it's, not only very helpful for them, but it's also really helping build an even more connected relationship between that company. If someone, first of all, you guys have a podcast, sounds like that's
Yeah,
one of
the
the things that
insight
you're
interviews.
doing.
You've been a guest on it, man. We
What's
only
the
have the
podcast?
best of the
Tell
best
everybody how
on.
they can get the podcast, and if they wanted to hire you as a coach or
You're
as a
always so
speaker,
kind, Dave.
where would they do
Yeah,
that?
our podcast is the Insight Interviews. That's anywhere you listen to podcasts. We've been doing it for about 3 years now. We've had over 200 interviews with just amazing people from a leadership standpoint. And then our website is rewireinc.com. And on all the socials, I hang out mostly on LinkedIn, but on all the socials, I'm at Rewire Jason. And people can reach out to us. We do love this. We've been, Steve and I've been doing it for 11 years now. We got coaches throughout the country, and we love to help and serve. That is what we wake up doing. I mean, you and I pre-recording, we weren't 100% sure what we were going to talk about, but we knew we wanted to add value. And I don't know, that's what gets me rolling. And so any way that we can serve, whether it's a free tool on our website or coming out to your group and being in front of them and talking about these types of topics, if we can help you add value to the people that are meaningful to you, whether they're referral partners or other people in your company, gosh, we'd be an honor to serve.
Love that. So I am going to ask one last question, because I hope everybody heard that exercise that he's doing with a group of realtors. And I hope everyone that follows me, you are masterminding with realtors, whether it's one-to-one, one-to-many. I think that exercise of, hey, what are the challenges? And let's put them up here. And it's just so obvious that if you help people solve their problems, you're going to be someone of value to them. What would be another exercise, like if people were listening to this and they were doing lunch and learn, or had a group of 12 realtors, that you would encourage them to do? Anything else?
The do it yourself piece. I do think that what we just talked about, I find a lot of people show up and throw up still, whether it's a sales call or a lunch and learn or a sales meeting. I'm going to show up and I'm going to tell you either how great I am or how great this product is or what you can do to be positive. I would say listening first is man, it's just a great place. So I'm glad you caught that. Like, naming things first, I think, and just listening is really good. So some of the best lunches I had when I was a loan officer is just showing up and really just listening. So if you're one-on-one, boy, asking a lot of questions and listening. And if you're at a lunch and learn, I do think that, like, naming those challenges. Now, then we have to move on, right? Like, we're not going to do a lunch and learn where there's a big bitch session for the whole time, because that's not adding value, right? But we can listen. And then wherever your expertise, again, with your experience, maybe your company's product suit, the way that you're an advisor with technologies like Trust Engine, whatever it is that you hear that you can add value, no shoving down people's throats, no showing up and throwing up, but letting people know what options are available with you. I just think that that's wise. Some people, will say, well, even that is too much selling. No, I think if you're the expert that you should be in the industry, you should let your light shine, meaning however it is that you give value to your community, again, whether it's a product suit or whether it's the way that you are a good listener, your loan technician ability, whatever it is, whatever's your superpower, whatever value that's your unique selling proposition, we used to call it back in the day, whatever that is, I do think that you should let your light shine, because the industry will figure out, hey, I need that light right now. Let's go to them, or not. And if they don't, it's okay. You'll get the next one, so to speak. So I think, I don't know that we have enough time to do the whole thing, Dave, but I think listening first. Actually, let me back up from there. Creating the time in the environment, whether it's a lunch and learn or whatever, there's so many people that aren't doing that. Even if you just do that, you're ahead of the game. So create the time and space where that environment can happen, where we're in community with one another. I think that is a great first step that many of your competitors aren't taking. Listening first, asking a lot of questions, and then letting whatever your particular light is shine, not from an ego standpoint, but from a, hey, I want to help you standpoint.
Love that. And I'm going to just add, and when you do come to that, come not with just ideas and pitches, come with stories and strategies.
Yeah,
try to,
so good.
as you and come, you should just have some go-to with this NAR settlement. here's some stories of how I'm helping buyers get clear and get confident about making an offer and winning in multi-offer situations. Let me tell you a story. Let me show you a
So
strategy.
good. Yeah, so good.
And it'll be really well received. So last words, any closing thoughts before we wrap it?
Man, I always appreciate the environment that you set, Dave, whether it's, YouTube, the interviews that you do, you're an example of doing the difficult immediately, right? Like the NAR settlement is right in front of people and you're leaning in to be a resource. And so I just want to thank you for having the platform that you have. I hope you keep on going for a long, long time. And to the degree that we can be helpful to you, gosh, know that we're there.
All right. And my closing thoughts are, guys, are you getting the gas in your mouth? Like, think of, the quote from James, the difficult we do immediately, like right now, the impossible takes a little longer. But by the way, if you don't do that, the impossible never happens. So cool, man. Love that story. I will always remember it. And good to see you, brother.
You too, Dave. Take it easy, brother.
All right. Everybody listening, if you have not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe right now so that every time we push a new video, you're getting an alert. If you're not following savageinsights.com, at the very top, whatever the next interview I'm doing will be at the top. And also whatever I think is most important, like right now, Scriptapalooza is coming. So sign up for Scriptapalooza. It's free just a couple weeks from now, savageinsights.com. Take care, everybody. And